welcome everyone on YouTube and everyone getting us from a link from your favorite social media service. This is Tailgate Update. This is episode 69. We are here with Julie Miller, Ryan Besaw, and myself, Jay Moffitt. We are once again excited that this episode is not a prime number. So we are not being sponsored by prime numbers tonight. Anyway, well, we want to start out with Ryan is really excited about the baseball season starting. He's got a couple of early impressions of what's going on.
Yeah, first of all, that was pretty smooth. The fact that we're not being sponsored by Prime Energy it's a little upsetting, isn't it?
It is, but I mean, if we're 69, I mean, once we go to 71, we might have a chance.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. So opening day happened. I know the Tokyo series technically was opening day for the Dodgers and Cubs, and most of us have strong feelings about the Tokyo series being just dumb, but opening day happened on Thursday. Cardinals, my team came out hot, 5 runs. That's like unheard of on opening day in the last couple of years because we just don't hit the ball. But they came out with a 3-game sweep starting over the Twins to start the season. Awesome. Just manhandled their pitching staff. The Twins actually DFA'd a pitcher that pitched 5 1/3 innings and gave up, I think, 1 run. Meanwhile, they still have a starter in their rotation who gave up 8 runs in that game. But they DFA'd the bullpen guy. But yeah, the Yankees manhandled the Brewers. It was absolutely lovely to watch. Game 2 of the first pitch of the season, I think they went yard on the first pitch of the season. Austin Wells.
That's always a good sign.
So I think they ended up winning that game 4-2. The second game, 3 straight pitches to start the game, 3 straight home runs. Can't remember. I think it was Goldschmidt, Bellinger, and Judge. Boom, 3-0, just like that. And a couple batters later, another guy, boom, hit another one. They ended up winning that game 20-9.
Wow.
Milwaukee just had no answer. And the controversy with the torpedo bats, it's all legal right now. We'll see how the season plays out with it, but I don't have an issue with it right now.
I was going to say, how many of the first 9 home runs were actually hit off torpedo bats?
So they hit 9 in game 2 of the series, and I think only 2 were with the torpedo bats.
Okay. So it's kind of a little bit overblown. I mean, it's actually been on the national news, which is, I mean, there probably hadn't been a bat story on the national news since you started seeing aluminum bats in college. That's like 25 years ago, you know? The national news doesn't cover a bat story. I'm serious.
It's just their analytic department for the Yankees was looking at where their players make contact on the bat more often than not.
Yeah.
And they made a bat that just made the sweet spot in that area.
Yeah.
And kept it within the legal parameters of what a bat is supposed to be like for Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
People are just overblowing it. You know, it's the Yankees.
Yeah.
I was a little irritated with it when I first found out about it because I was like, what the hell is this shit?
Yeah.
But then I was like, it's not that bad. It's just kind of
a little bit fatter towards the middle than at the label.
Yeah.
At the barrel.
So the people are looking at this like the Yankees are cheating. Oh, the Yankees get away with everything. Yada, yada, yada. Yeah, well, whatever. It's just people are complaining just because the Yankees at this point.
Yeah.
They bent the rules but didn't break them.
Okay.
So
that makes sense. Yeah, I agree with you that it's probably going to be legal and everything, but it's kind of crazy that it's actually made to the national news because it was on the NBC national news, and there probably had been a bat story on the national news for maybe 25 years, maybe since aluminum bats. You know, it's not something that makes the national news about bats. So
I think I can't remember the team, but they actually ordered a bunch of bats for their team after they saw what the Yankees did to Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And it's like only 2 of the guys hit home runs with those bats. Like,
That makes sense. Yeah. And
um,
they and I heard one of the guys say he'd been using it since spring training. He'd
yeah.
been using it for a week and a half. So I mean, during the season, it might take you a week or so to get up
Mhm.
to speed on it if it has a different. I mean, I'm sure it has like a different aerodynamic design and it has a different feel. It might
Yeah.
take
It
you
might, yeah.
it might take you 10 or 20 at bats to really get used to the way that it feels with the balance and everything. So
Yeah.
I
Uh,
don't know.
they, I don't know. It's just being overblown right now. And I think
Okay.
it's just a fad that might go away over the course of the season. But
Okay. That,
you were talking about struggling and such with the bat and the feel. Rafael Devers up in Boston is just
mhm.
atrocious right now. So he started out the season 3 game set in Texas.
Uh-huh.
I think he was 0 for 11 with 10 strikeouts.
10 strikeouts and 11 at bats.
He is the first player ever to start the season to strike out 10 times to start the season.
And I was fixed to say that just sounds astounding.
It's just
For
and
all the wrong reasons.
Yes,
so
exactly.
he struck out 10 times, but in those 10 times he had a 6, a 7, and an 8 pitch at bat.
So he's hitting foul balls.
So yeah, he's working the count. It's just his timing's off on those payoff pitches. So and Boston actually lost. I think they lost 2 of the 3. I think so. And they lost again today to Baltimore, I think Baltimore is going to be a pretty decent contender for the AL East this year.
Okay.
Starting off, of course, they're starting off the season against Toronto, and I have no idea what Toronto's doing. I really don't. Vlad's on a contract year. Contract talks have ceased.
Mhm.
They don't know what they're going to do with him. They don't know if they can sign him, if he's going to test free agency. I don't know.
Okay.
They go out and get these pitchers. Scherzer just signed with Toronto, and he's on the IL already because he's got something to do with his thumb. I think it's something to do with his nerve in his thumb. So the Braves are going to be missing their outfielder Dirksen Profar. He was suspended 80 games today for violating the PED policy.
Oh,
He
okay.
tested positive for
That's a lot of-
HCG, and he's not going to be eligible for playoffs if Atlanta makes it. That's a big if right now, this early start of the season, because I'm pretty sure that they got swept. Yes, they got swept by San Diego, 4 game set. So they started the season 0-4, and I think they lost again today.
Okay.
I think I haven't really checked yet.
HCG. I never heard this, but apparently it's mostly with women. It's the thing that that indicates that a woman is pregnant when she takes a pregnancy test.
Really?
Can
yeah,
I
like that's the thing
suggest
that
that
triggers it.
maybe whenever it's like a weird substance they get triggered for, I usually think it's some sort of a masking agent.
Yes.
Uh,
There's been a couple of guys who tested positive for excessive amounts of estrogen in their body,
Okay,
Yeah.
and it's
because
usually a
that
masking agent. Yeah.
masking agent for extra testosterone or extra steroids, things like that.
it's a hormone produced by the placenta after a woman becomes pregnant. So you have to. That's a very specific kind of.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that they wouldn't be able to make that in a
I-
lab now, but God, I mean, talk about niche trying to get that. I don't know if you would, if this would be a masking agent, because it sounds like it's complicated, but I don't know. But that sounds really weird. Like, to take. Maybe I just don't
Oh.
understand about taking female hormones when you're a dude, but like when you're not. Obviously, there are times when you're like transitioning, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about sports, so I don't
Right, yeah.
understand.
Yeah. So Profar, he's out 80 games. The Braves do play tonight against the Dodgers, who are 5-0 on the year and are just hammering the ball when it matters most. By the way, Mookie Betts is back playing. He started playing on Thursday. I don't know how much weight he's gained back, but he hit a walk-off homer in Game 2 of the season. On Friday, of the series. Walk-off
hold
3-run
on.
homer. So
Hold on. I just saw something interesting.
oh boy.
This hormone is typically taken by men because other hormones, I believe, can impact fertility later for men. This one is supposed to help protect the fertility of men and keep their things from shriveling. So my guess is that he might be taking other things and he's using this so that he can use the family jewels at some point, is my guess.
Okay.
So he probably has something else.
A side effect blocker. That sounds good.
He's taking a lot of shit that's messing with him right now, and it's cost him 80 games. But the Brewers lost again today, 11-1 to the Royals.
Okay.
So they are over.
Did they check the Royals bats?
I don't know. But the Twins also lost today to the historically bad White Sox of last season.
Wow.
The White Sox, I believe, have more wins this season in the first week than they did all of last year. So they're 2-2 right now. So good for the White Sox.
I think they won more than 2 last year.
They were the first week.
They were not. Oh, the first week. They were not 1-161. I think
I saw a thing that said the White Sox are above 500 for the first time since 2023 or something like that. It's like, oh my god.
Wow.
But yeah, that's the opening week. It's been pretty good. Okay. The Marlins have 3 wins, 3 walk-offs to start the year, so good for them.
Okay. How about the NHL? We're almost in playoff time, right?
Yeah, I think we have 7 games left in the regular season, depending on what your schedule looks like. So the Flyers have fired John Tortorella due to a difference of opinion with GM Daniel Briere. He was 97, 107, and 33 over 3 years, and they're not making playoffs anymore, so they kicked his ass to the curb. So a lot of people are saying this is his last hurrah. Nobody's going to hire him again, blah, blah, blah. He's hard to work with. I like him. I think he's a decent coach.
So none of the coaches that I see look like they're like super fun to work with. They all seem like some real unique personalities that would.
Yeah.
They're all old men in suits, and so I could see how they might. And they're usually kind of loud and opinionated, and kind of. I can see how they might not work well with most people. For
the most part,
most settings, yeah. They seem like an HR nightmare for a regular company.
He's hard nosed. He demands the best out of you.
Who doesn't?
Every game. If you screw up, you're gonna know about it.
Every league does that. All these coaches are all assholes.
He's very vocal about it. Post game, post game, he's like Gordon Ramsay, man. He yelling all the time. The NHL's finding Bruins rookie defenseman Michael Haskins for cross-checking Ducks forward Jensen Haskins. Fined him $2,000, which is the max allowed under the CBA. Sid the Kid has broken Gretzky's career points per game record.
I heard about that.
20th season averaging at least a point per outing. And last but not least for the NHL, Ovi is 5 goals away from breaking the Great One's record of most goals in a career. So if he doesn't get it this year, he's definitely getting it next year.
But it's still questionable now whether he'll get this year.
Yeah, because I think they have 7 games left and he needs 5 goals. So unless he gets a Hattie tomorrow, who knows?
Like I remind you about the story about Hank Aaron walking around the whole off season with 713 home runs. That was a rough year.
It's like, wow.
He's been chasing it for 20 years. Yeah.
I need 2 home runs and have whole season to get him. Oh boy.
Yeah. So, well, anything else happening that we need to know of before we jump into the basketball arena?
The wild card race in the West is heating up pretty good in the East.
Okay.
The Rangers are holding on dearly to a wild card spot.
I believe that.
Oh yeah, they are.
Seems like a very appropriate location for them. Definitely a wild card.
They're holding on tightly.
Okay. basketball with the NBA.
Where do you want to start?
Yeah, let me
Uh,
know when I need to rant about blood clots.
uh,
More?
well, we could start with LeBron getting back in with Luca. Like you said last week, he put together a game with Luca, and then they've been playing together all week and getting over the kind of losing streak. Even though
Oh God,
they they did lose a game in spectacular fashion against the
Chicago.
Bulls. Yeah,
Bullshit, man. We just can't seem to beat Chicago.
it was crazy.
They beat our ass by 30 with just Luca, and then they just beat us on a buzzer beater.
But
That
I
is a
mean
phrase you don't hear very often, not being able to beat Chicago in the sports world.
I mean, it wasn't just the 55 footer at the end. Okay,
Yeah.
it was the fact that they hit a 3-pointer, they stole the inbounds, they hit another 3-pointer. The Lakers came down and scored, and then Giddy hit the 3-pointer from like 57 feet to win it. They scored 9 points in 12 seconds.
Yeah, that's kind of on JJ Redick a little bit.
Yeah,
And Braun
I would
not
say
picking him
that.
up.
Yeah,
I don't know what Braun was thinking. He didn't pick him up on the inbounds. He just waited for him.
yeah.
And it's
And
just like,
he let it go early. He thought, oh, he'll get to half court and shoot.
yeah,
No, he shot it before he got within Braun's reach.
yeah.
Just took off, and they were like, "Oh, there's no way he's hit." Wow, it went through.
Isn't Giddy known for something or
Mm.
I, you know, I don't have any idea. Once I saw something, it was scribbled on like the back of a 17 magazine. So
Oh.
yeah, but I
Oh,
forgot what
Jay.
that
Let's
was
just say
about.
he likes things that rhyme with his name that starts with a K.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
Yeah, like
allegedly.
you misspelled giddy. I know that joke.
Yeah.
so I guess JJ Redick actually sat down the Lakers' big three of Reeves, Braun, and Luca, and he challenged them all before the Memphis game. He was like, we need to lock this 4 seed up or get higher. We can't be limping in the playoffs like this. And it came out and beat Memphis.
I mean, there's the the why the Grizzlies don't need any help having other teams getting hyped up. They just hired a coach like an afternoon before, you know,
Yeah,
because they um Tuama Tuamas Ilaso. Yeah, that's it. Tuamas Ilaso.
Sounds like
sounds like
you're
a
trying to mock
spell.
someone.
No, Tuamas Ilaso from
Where's your wand?
Lasso. No,
Thomas Lasso.
he's from Finland. Okay.
Oh, that explains it. Okay.
Yeah, that explains the diphthong. Okay. So yeah, he came in his team last year when he was coaching in the Euro League,
Mhm.
won the Euro basket, which is a really big deal, especially if you're not from like, Italy or Spain or France.
Yeah,
You're like
yeah.
from Finland, they're not like a big basketball power. So he was recognized as a good coach. He was brought in basically to replace Taylor Jenkins if things didn't go well this year.
Mhm.
And they did not go well this year.
There you
Everybody
go.
outside of Memphis was like really surprised by it. And
Mhm.
the people from Memphis would just caution them and say, we haven't been a team with a winning record since February 2nd. And they totaled up all the teams with a winning record that they had played. They had lost 9 in a row, and by like an average of 12 points. I mean, it wasn't like that they were playing good games against the good teams.
Mm.
So if you're going into playoffs and you haven't beaten a playoff team in the West, literally
Yeah.
since December, they haven't beaten a playoff. All the teams they might play, they've lost to the Lakers 3 straight times. They've lost 4 games, 3 of the 4 to Houston.
Mhm.
They've lost all of them to the Clippers. They've lost 3 or 4 to the Nuggets. They've been abysmal. And
Yeah, so
I mean, they just pulled they pulled the parachute if you thought you weren't going to
On
have any chance
Jenkins?
to win, yeah, they pulled the parachute on Jenkins and
Yeah.
said, well, give this guy a 9 game run and the playoffs. They were expecting to lose the playoffs anyway, first round, probably get swept. They're
Hmm.
like, maybe some fire will hit.
So
And he's been on staff the whole year, so the
yeah.
players are used to him.
So they fired Jenkins after 6 seasons.
Right.
He's the winningest coach. They thought he lost the locker room apparently during this rough stretch,
Yeah.
and they made, like you said, made the change. It's an effort to mitigate how the team plays in the tail end of the season here and finishes toward the playoffs.
Exactly. And despite
Yeah.
the fact that he's the winningest coach,
Yeah,
he's never taken them past the second round of the playoffs.
you're right. He actually
He
has one series win, and he's 9-14 in the playoffs.
he
Okay.
they beat Minnesota in a 7 game series.
Mm-hmm.
In game 7, Minnesota inexplicably in the fourth quarter, with Anthony Edwards having like about 30 points in 3 quarters, they forgot that Anthony Edwards was their best player.
You do that
I
a
think
lot,
I think he touched the ball one time in the fourth, and the Grizzlies came back and won. But
Oh.
that
yeah.
was their only first round win.
And
So
that was against the young Minnesota Timberwolves.
right, exactly 3 years ago.
Yeah. So I mean, he had a 250 and 214 record. Made the playoffs 3 out of 5 full seasons, but like you said, did nothing with it.
Yeah, exactly. 4 times in, 3 times out first round.
Yeah.
Last year missed because of injuries. He actually coached much better last year than this year.
Yeah.
But the star players are 30th in the league in minutes. The top
Really?
3 players. Yes.
Mm.
And almost always they will play less minutes than the other 3 star players. And he takes them out at inexplicable times in the fourth quarter,
Huh.
which will almost always result in a 5 or 7 or 8 point run. The fans have been trying to get rid of him for months. It's just like this front office has been catching up with it. Everybody
Yeah.
had been calling the people on Twitter haters because they could say he wasn't winning any good games,
Yeah.
Right.
So
That is a good point. If you're the winningest coach, but it's for games that don't matter,
yeah,
that is not even a thing that would have occurred to me, but that makes a lot of sense.
yeah. I mean, if you're going to playoffs, you're not going to be playing the teams you've been beating all year.
True.
Yeah.
True.
So, but anyway, I support the firing. I'm not sure if I support the timing, but if everybody in the front office and the team thought we're just going to be wiped off the face of the earth the first round, what have you got to lose? If the guy doesn't do good in the first round of playoffs, he'll never be back. If Jenkins got lucky and won a first round series, the front office would be stuck with him for another year.
True. Yeah.
So, but anyway, that's all about it. There hasn't been, to me, a lot exciting going on, just some playoff kind of positioning.
Zion Williamson and CJ McCollum are out for the rest of the season for New Orleans. So Zion's dealing with a backbone bruise. He fell back on the 19th.
Oh, that sounds painful.
Yeah,
It
and
does.
McCollum's got a foot issue, I think.
Yeah.
So, and LaMelo's going to be out for the rest of the season. 2 minor procedures on right ankle and his wrist, orthoscopic surgery on his right ankle, impingement. So,
Okay.
Mm.
there you go.
All right, so now I get to go on my rant about blood clots, right?
Oh, Lord.
Absolutely, yes. The San Antonio guy, and
Yeah,
also
well-
the new one from Milwaukee. Sorry.
Right. Damian Lillard
Yes.
of the Bucks. He had deep vein thrombosis, a blood clot in his right calf, and then Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah,
that
he
is
had
correct.
one in his shoulder. And they're talking about him needing to get I believe that he's going to get a surgery. That's the plan for him. And I don't think they know yet with Damien. Not every blood clot needs a surgery, and like by surgery they mean like usually you break down the clot into really tiny pieces with a laser. So it's not really like a surgery anyway. Like I mean it is, but depending on how you look at it. and then usually they use a lot of blood thinners. So um now sometimes uh there's a doctor who said it's a 1 in 10,000 chance that somebody in their 20s or 30s are going to have a blood clot, and that athletes are no more likely to have it other than maybe like increased travel and maybe dehydration because that can cause it, but that is not curing more. It's just, some incidences. So, it's kind of unclear at this point. I know, uh, let me see here. Victor is hoping to come back. Damien there's been less talk about him like coming back right away, but I know for Victor they're already talking about summer. Um, it really kind of depends. Was it a one-off, one-time thing? Do they have a blood clotting issue? There's 13 different kinds of blood clots. I know them
Wow.
intimately because Factor 5 runs in my family. That's one of the 13. And it is a 1 in 2 million chance that you'll have it. But and it's most common in really random European families. So, fun fact. So it's so they have to figure out, is it a clotting condition? Was there trauma there and a blood clot formed? That kind of stuff. Former athletes have, of course, come back after doing the clots. Um, if you have to keep taking blood thinners because they won't stop, that'll make it complicated. Um, so like it's really kind of situational, like of about who's coming back and when, but we just noticed more blood clots in NBA lately. I mean, they happen all the time, but it's been kind of back to back. So I believe Victor's getting the surgery, and Damien, I don't know yet. The surgery means very little in terms of like long term, but it helps obviously, because if you have a blood clot at all, it can go to your heart and lungs. So, like, surgery can be appealing in the sense that if you feel like it's before you can make it go away with the blood thinners, it can be helpful to catch it and like break it down so it doesn't travel if it's moving that way towards towards that area, you're going to want to get that done really quick. And from arms and legs, it's really not hard. Obviously, the heart and legs, the whole system goes to your blood, your arms and your legs everywhere. So it's not hard for it to travel. But sometimes you can get rid of it with blood thinners before you have to do the surgery. So it's just kind of like touch and go. Like I said, Victor has one in his shoulder, and Damien has one in his leg. So not great, but definitely not like you can get them in a lot of. I mean, the brain ones. Sometimes you can catch those before too, but yeah. So sounds like they're getting the treatment that they need. It's not a epidemic. It's just kind of by chance, and it could definitely, depending on the causes, could end their career, and it has ended like NFL players' careers in the past because, if it comes back or they can't get out the blood thinner or something.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we talked in an earlier episode about Chris Bosh was the
Yes.
Yeah.
last NBA player we remember, and that pretty much kind of did end his career because he was taking so much blood thinners for his health that it prohibited him really from flying. I mean, he was
Yes.
going to be able to live a normal life, but he couldn't do the constant change of altitude and pressure and
Yeah,
everything.
that can be really dangerous. Obviously, having family with this condition, flying, and then, dehydration, of course, and that's not totally unusual for athletes to have at least some of that at some point. But that is a concern. So they were talking about like, I think there's been in the past where there are some players who only played in like places where they could bus to or drive to or were local or something.
Wow.
So like, yeah, but it would be very risky for sure. And again, if you have one of the 13 blood clotting disorders, that's going to change a lot in comparison to if it was a one-off or something.
Okay.
And so like it just kind of depends on each person, and it
Okay.
could happen to anybody. So they're rather common with women in that age range because of birth control.
Hmm.
And if you smoke, like, so it's not unheard of. It's just, yeah, the real risk is not being able to take the blood thinners and still do the sport, like traveling and obviously trauma, because God, you do not want like a hemophilia situation where you can't stop bleeding kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I did not
Wow.
hear that either one of these gentlemen have a blood clotting disorder, but I don't know if they would tell us even if they did. Um, but that would definitely impact overall treatment. So,
Okay.
but I mean, not kind of. Really, it's kind of you're always going to have to get monitored closely. But with all the trainers and staff and stuff, they have the capability to monitor somebody really closely, so they may be able to still keep them going.
Yeah, that makes sense. And plus,
Yeah.
from 30 to 50 years ago, even if you have it once you've retired, there's a technology probably to help you better than if you were a retired athlete, say in the 60s or 70s,
Oh
that had
God.
it, and you weren't able to be with the trainer,
I can
24/7.
only imagine what it was like back then. Plus, they did not have the laser surgeries that we have now, so you'd have to like get in there to
Yeah.
like the location.
Hmm.
Ultrasounds weren't as good because you can sense where the blood clot is now with the ultrasound and go in there with the
Mm.
laser and I've seen a lot of like vein um ultrasounds
Hmm.
and they check like the blood flow in multiple areas like on your legs and
Yeah.
stuff. For this person it was on their legs. Um to check where the flow is limited, and then they can actually see when they zero in, can see the clock. You couldn't do any of that back then. I can only imagine what that would be like. But and then like imagine if you have to like slice in there to
Yeah.
get the clot. Like, what if you cause a clot because you took out the clot because they have a clotting issue? Like, ugh,
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, there's a lot different.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I see what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Let's switch over a little bit to the Final Four for a little bit, which is maybe one of the more boring ones there's been. No Cinderellas, it's pretty much all chalk,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of the same, coaches, except a lot of the SEC teams, you
Four
know,
number ones.
four number ones. Also in the Sweet 16, um, there were only four conferences, and the least there's ever been before has been seven. So that they
Really?
they just really congealed. Yeah, you got to remember Houston's always been a really good team the whole last 5 or 10 years. But 2 and 3 years ago, it was the same coach, Sampson, and uh, he had the AAC he was representing,
Mm.
and there was Coastal Carolina about 3 or 4 years ago. And there's always been like a BYU or a Boise State or some weird San Diego State, some weird non-power four conference team, and there wasn't. It was just all this main four this year. And
Yeah.
then they got to the final four, and it was like one versus two, one versus two, one versus two, and one versus three. So it was just like the final four is just chalk all the way. And it hasn't been as interesting, but it was still nice to see Duke have like the best player in the country playing, you know, for them. I was going to say it's probably been 3 or 4 years. Ryan, you may correct me on this, but it's really been about 3 or 4 years since we've seen a Final Four where we've seen the best player in the country still being in it. A lot of times they're talking about an overseas player or some guy that's really good, but he's
Yeah.
from like a mid kind of team that gets knocked out in the first or second round.
I'm assuming you're talking about Cooper Flag.
Yes, Cooper Flag. Yeah, Cooper Flag. The last time I can remember a really great run from a really great player was Anthony Davis. That was heck
All of
like
the undefeated year for Kentucky.
10,
Yeah.
10, 12 years ago, you know?
Yeah, those actually it was 12 years ago.
But you know what I mean? I mean, it's usually been number one players half the time has been overseas.
Yeah.
Other times it's been like, sometimes it's like they don't even go to college, and they'll go play at a club team for a year or
Yeah.
whatever.
Uh, yeah, I haven't really watched a single second of it, to be honest.
Yeah, I understand, but you should watch Cooper Flag. I watched Cooper Flag because they were going to be playing Alabama, and Alabama had sunk 25 threes in the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
And they're
Well,
the kind of team that could beat a really good Duke team because they're going to shoot their 53s. And if they make 25 or 28, they're probably going to beat you.
yeah, well, they didn't make their 25 or 28.
They did not.
They got bombed
Yeah.
by 20, so.
Yeah. So, but yeah, anyway, I'm still picking Duke to win it all. And
They're a 5.5 point favorite over Houston. I mean,
yeah, but
and Auburn might give them a run, but
they might.
I
Yeah.
don't. It's freaking Duke, man. I don't understand it. They recruit
Yeah.
so freaking well every year.
They do. They do. Well, anyway, let's roll into the realm of football a little bit.
Okay.
And we can talk about the UFL, which kicked off this weekend.
Sure, have at it.
Okay. I was lucky enough to get a press pass to see the local team, the Memphis Showboats. They run a really great organization, recognize talent both in the athletic and the literary realm. So they gave me that press pass. And anyway, it's a brand new press box in Memphis and very nice and luxurious and many refrigerators. But anyway, I know very many refrigerators. And anyway, I was sitting about the 30-yard line. Took a really good shot of many great plays by the Michigan Panthers and a couple of near great plays by the Memphis Showboats. And
Guess what you get?
yeah, you get what you get. I was like, oh, this is a key play. Yeah, no, it's a turnover on downs. But anyway,
Yeah.
it looked like the Showboats were going to get run, but they just kept kind of hanging around and hanging around. And they stopped a drive by the Michigan Panthers when it was 20-12. And over the loudspeaker, they played the Bee Gees "Staying Alive," which
Oh
I thought
boy.
was a nice touch. Guy had it in his back pocket the whole game. But anyway,
Imagine
so
being a UFL DJ.
I know. Well, hey,
Big bucks.
nobody can dream that big. Okay, Julie, let's not
Okay.
talk about
Literally.
the top of the heap UFLG
Top of the
DJ.
tier.
Yeah, but anyway, it wasn't that great of a crowd, but they were loud,
Good.
and they did, per Memphis tradition, bring in a title holding wrestler who was titled the Gun Show, which was really neat. Instead of a kiss cam, it's Memphis, so they had a flex cam. So they went around the stadium and they caught everyone's best flex.
Oh
So
boy.
that was pretty interesting. Yeah.
At least they
Hey,
didn't bring any tires.
no, they didn't. But anyway, down to the last, Memphis had a chance. They were going back and forth between quarterbacks, and Trey Williams led them down the field the last 2 minutes, and there was 35 seconds left. They were down to 21 of the they were down at the 21 of the Panthers, and they threw an interception, and Kaya Nakua got the interception at the 21. He cut in very quickly. I've got 2 or 3 pictures of what I thought was going to be the touchdown pass, but turned into the interception pass. But it looked like enough room. I've got to stick up for Trey Williams. He threw it, and it looked like enough room, but Nakua did not believe it was enough room. He picked it off. He stepped in 80 yards all the way back to the house. His brother was on the sidelines. His brother, also a Nakua, he had scored the other touchdown for the Panthers. And so he met him
Nice.
at the goal line, and they embraced, and it was
Aw.
like pretty cool. I think the first time in UFL history, 2 brothers have scored a touchdown in the same game, and it would have been heartwarming for me, except I was for the Showboats, and it was heartburning,
Yeah.
really. So
Listen, man, you've seen a Nakua just if it's there, they're gonna catch it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Puka
You
does
think,
it. Kai's doing it.
I think
yeah,
there's 4 or 5
Yeah,
brothers.
there's 4 of them. Yeah,
Another
yeah,
one's still in high school. I think the youngest one is still in high
yeah,
school.
yeah,
And they all play football. Like it's in their blood, man.
yeah. Kai actually used to play for the Texans before he
Mm.
was ended up getting released. So
yeah. That makes sense. And the funny thing is, I think they say right now there's 41 XF NFLers in the
oh
Yeah,
my god,
UFL.
it's
I
a
thought you were gonna
lot.
say there was 41 Nakuas. I was like,
No,
what?
no,
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 that'll
no.
be next generation, okay?
Yeah,
Just send
next
Holy
them
generation.
cow!
Yeah, that's the grandchildren. But anyway,
Yeah.
what I was going to say is there's 41, and a guy made a catch against a defender, and instead of just the usual toss the ball to the referee, he took the ball in his hand and he's yelling at his defender. He said, Google me, man."
That's funny.
That's some Shaq stuff right there.
Yeah,
Google me,
That
that's
Chuck.
was so funny.
that's
But
what we gonna do at the sorry baby. My
what?
cat, I accident yes. He's not a victim. I
Okay,
accidentally bumped him. Okay.
okay.
Like that's what we'll do at the end of the podcast. Uh and it's funny
Google me.
because my name is so common that when you Google my name, I never ever come up. So but
That's why Twitter doesn't use my real name because it's like there could be
yeah.
people out there.
Oh,
So I
Julie
don't.
keeps it up. She might not. She's gonna be on that top 7 list and what things not to Google.
Yeah, but next week, we Memphis plays. Um, I believe we're playing the Defenders,
Mm,
but
Yeah,
they had it was a low attendance night, but they still had a very
shocker.
impressive snake, a beer snake going on.
oh good. I
So
mean,
I'm hoping when they play next Friday night, I believe it's against the Showboats that they'll be able to pull in a really good crowd on
Hmm.
like a weekend night
Yeah.
and have like try to set the world record again. So
yeah, absolutely. Do like
that
a couple dollars off for college students or
yeah.
something. Yeah.
Okay. That's all the UFL stuff I've got. I guess we're ready to hit with like the big boys.
Where the big boys play, yeah.
Where the big boys
Um,
play, yeah.
Let's start. Let's start in Colorado a little bit. Though. Coach Prime's
Okay.
getting an extension, 5 years, $54 million to stay in Colorado through 2029. Highest paid coaches, one of the highest paid coaches in the country. His salary is going to increase to $10 million base this year. Makes him the highest paid in the Big 12 and among top 10 highest paid in the country. He's going to earn another $10 million next year, $11 million in 2027, $11 million in 2028, and $12 million in 2029.
You'll need that for the lawyers.
Stop.
Look, I'm just
Settle
telling you.
down over there.
It's coming. It's coming.
Coach Prime's going to stay in Colorado for a while.
Okay.
Free agency
See how
news.
long.
Free agency.
Free agency is a little tampered off a little bit. So,
Yeah.
I
I heard Aaron Rodgers is gonna wait till after the draft.
heard he's been working out with DK Metcalf.
I
It's
heard
almost as if he's going to sign in Pittsburgh, but he's being a little prima donna, a little bitch about it.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting when they said after the draft, like why?
I have a reason why.
Okay.
He's a drama queen.
Yeah.
They've been saying for a year or two, one of his preference would be Nashville. His brother has a place in Franklin, and I
He
believe
doesn't even
that-
talk to his family. He hates all of them. Does he even talk to any? Like, he doesn't even talk to extended family. He's like friends with like one aunt.
It's
Okay.
bold of Jay to assume he talks to his family.
He doesn't talk to. He hasn't talked to his parents in like years. He doesn't talk to any of his brothers, as far as I know. I think maybe one.
Julie
barely.
is just shutting down that Aaron
I'm just
Rodgers of
telling
Tennessee
you
thing.
that,
The
like,
other thing about Aaron Rodgers in Tennessee, I do believe that he owns land down there in Williamson County, which is Franklin, Tennessee.
Julie was just trying to pee all
look,
over
I
your
was
dreams.
I was surprised. As somebody who was raised in a cult, his family is me. His family is very religious, and he has a lot of baggage with them. And so this is something that I've kind of looked into in the past. And
Okay.
so I am very intimately aware of his family relations, how much he hates his family, which I can
Okay.
identify with. Anyway, just kidding. Love everyone. But yeah, so like I would think the family being there would make him run, but whatever. Maybe his special aunt, his one aunt that he talks to, lives there too.
But the other thing is there's still 3 or 4 teams out there that might want a quarterback, especially if they're high in the draft and they
Mm.
trade back for somebody else to get a quarterback. Tennessee is in that camp. Cleveland is in that camp.
Russell Wilson's making a dangerous decision going to New York.
Oh, terrible.
Yeah,
Ah,
that's how bad the decision was. It was terrible.
Your pun was worse, but
I can't be any worse than the
do you
Giants
think
O-line.
do you think that one or both of them already has like a penthouse in New York or something? Since like a lot of rich celebrities do.
Jameis Winston.
No, Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson.
Oh,
Yeah, like Sierra might have one. He
Oh,
might
Yeah, I
have
was
I
one.
fixed to
don't know.
say because the recording studio, some of them are in New York. Makes
Yeah,
sense.
so I'm like, do they have like like that's a big move, okay? Like they went from Seattle to which they are still have a house there to Colorado to New York, and I'm like, well, maybe they already have some roots here or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seemed like he was looking for a contract, and Pittsburgh said, "We don't want you anymore." He said, "Screw you guys," and the Giants are pretty much the only team that wanted him, really. That threw money at him, I guess. I mean, it's a $21 million deal with 10.5 guaranteed over a year. It's probably something where he's just gonna be like, "Okay, I'm gonna spend a year in hell, figure it out, get a contract next year, and
I
then
mean,
just
he's
retire."
leaning towards 40, so you would think
Yeah.
eventually that would be coming down the pipeline, but um yeah, yeah, it's a weird. Everything about it is kind of weird. The whole thing is weird. Like we have like, and nobody wants Kirk Cousins, which I think is kind of funny. But anyway,
Well, Atlanta's holding on to him. Like
no,
they said they're going to trade
I
him.
thought they said they were trying to get rid of him.
They Atlanta doesn't even know what they want to do with him.
Yeah,
First, they were like, "Oh, we're going to release him. Oh, we're going to try to trade him. Oh, you know what? We're just going to hold on to him and let Penix learn behind while Kirk Cousins is on the bench."
I just
Yeah.
heard nobody would trade for him. But anyway,
That too. His
yes,
contract is so ridiculously stupid.
yeah.
Definitely overpriced.
We will be seeing more from neighbors. I will say that.
That is if Russ can throw the ball.
Okay. I almost said a very uncomfortable word. And like we have teams waiting hand and foot on Prima Donna Rogers when he is
Right.
his legs are made out of glass and he's like 42.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of logic to me on the desirability of said quarterbacks.
But
Like,
you've got to admit though, Julie, I mean, if he's been 3 or 4 different places along the way, if they were meeting his price, he'd be
yeah,
signed already.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like waiting on hand and foot, but then what they're offering, he's saying, "Well, I still haven't decided." No, if they had offered you something decent, you would have signed it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
He doesn't have many options other than
Yeah. And I think
being
it's
a
kind of
backup somewhere.
disrespectful because Russell did really well for the Steelers, and then now they're going to wait on Prima Donna Rogers, who's probably going to tear something in like the second week.
And Minnesota pretty much told him to pound salt. So
Like, makes sense of that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, I know Russ he's had like 2 injuries his entire career. Like,
yeah.
But like
the thumb, yeah, the thumb, and he has a calf injury, I think,
And the concussion.
he's had many of those. Anyways, yeah,
He's
so
durable for the most part.
incredibly, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no, but you're gonna take angel glass legs. I don't know, whatever.
Can I write that down?
Yes.
I think it was a clash.
Angel glass legs.
There was definitely a clash between coordinator and Tomlin and Russ.
And you think there's not going to be with Rodgers? He's the
No.
head coach and the main quarterback. He's going to rub everybody wrong. He
Yeah.
is the coach, like, and he's a drama king.
Okay.
Like, you think he's going to be better than Russ and getting along with people in a locker room?
Didn't he get Salah and let's see, who else was it? Salah,
I know his
Hackett,
yeah, he lost his.
Salah and
McCarthy.
Hackett both.
McCarthy.
Yeah.
He got them all fired.
So basically,
Yeah, but I think
they
it's probably
want
right about McCarthy.
See, I don't know. I really don't.
The Cowboys had so many years with
Look where their
McCarthy.
quarterback was.
Yeah, I know, but I think Prescott could have been like marginally better with a different coach.
All right. Well, we'll disagree on that
Marginally
one.
better. Yeah, yeah.
We'll agree to disagree on that
Well,
one.
So
anyway,
basically, you're telling me that the Steelers are bringing in Rodgers so that he can get people fired?
That's not what I'm saying at all.
that
That's
would be
what
the
I got.
safest place
That's
because
what
I
I
mean
got from that.
Tomlin is unfireable.
Not Tomlin. I'm not saying Tomlin.
Tomlin
But he's gonna
will
have.
never be fired, I don't think.
They're gonna
No.
get rid of. They're like, okay, we got to get this guy because not only will he coach our team, but he's also like Grim Reaper for bad coaches. Like,
I don't know what Pittsburgh's
I
doing.
feel
but
like it would make more sense to send him to like the Giants, so that because he likes to clean out New York locker rooms. So
at the same time, I don't know why the Giants are signing Russ.
I
They
have
signed
no.
Winston like 5 days prior, and there's talks of they're gonna draft a quarterback. So you're telling me you signed 2 veteran quarterbacks,
There's
and
there's
then
no
you're gonna draft someone else too?
there's no way that they signed Shadur at 6 if they've
Mm-mm.
already paid 2 quarterbacks.
They're at 6 now.
Were they at 6 or 3?
I thought they're at 3.
I mean, if they're at 3, Shadur is there, but that would be an insanely high pick
They're
for
going.
Shadur.
They're probably going Cam.
Cam won't be there. The Titans will take him.
You think the Titans are taking Cam?
100%. I think the Titans are taking.
I think
Cam.
it's a mistake not taking Hunter, to be honest. If
think
I'm being honest,
I think you're probably right. But the
Well,
fan
as
base
a-
is so upset about having no even mediocre quarterback for 10 years. If you're drafting number
Okay.
1, you take the best quarterback in the country, and 2 or 3 years from now, if it doesn't work out, trade him for a second-round pick and start again.
that's pretty much what you're doing right now.
Sure.
That's a start at least. I mean, heck, they had a guy that Miami threw out
I will feed you
with
later.
Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah.
And for 3 or 4 years, he was great because they just need him to hand it off to Derrick Henry.
Yes. Right. You guys fixed the offensive line, so Levis should have somewhat of a perfect circumstance.
Oh God, not Levis. Never Levis. Never again
No.
Levis.
No.
Levis is not even a viable option. Levis is like Danny Dimes.
Oh.
Oh, he got
wrong.
he got signed to Minnesota, didn't he?
No.
Where did he get signed to? He got signed to a contract.
He's still out there, I think.
I was
Mm-mm.
thinking he got signed.
He got signed somewhere, yeah.
I was thinking it was
did.
Minnesota.
Well,
But anyway, I guess kind of circle around and maybe get everybody else's thoughts on the NFL.
The Colts. He's with the Colts now.
Oh,
Oh my
Lord.
God.
Yeah. I
The
knew he went
Colts.
somewhere, but
They
yeah,
have
that
a-
makes sense.
One quarterback that can't
Him and
handle running
Richardson.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Needs a tag out every once in a while, and then
Yeah.
one that can't see. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, that
I
makes
s-
about as much sense as having him back up Levis in Tennessee, right? Like,
Yeah. I guess what we probably need to circle around and get everybody's
Yes.
last thoughts about the NFL.
Stephon Diggs went to New England for 3 years, $69 million with 26 guaranteed.
Okay.
Jim Harbaugh signs a 3-year extension with Baltimore. The Bills are signing Christian Benford to a 4-year, $76 million extension, and Devin White went to Vegas for a year.
Okay.
That's the biggest news right now in free agency.
My thoughts were Titans definitely going to take Cam Ward, but if another team offers them 3 first-rounders is what they say the price is,
Oh, Lord.
3 first-rounders to move up 3 to 5 spots, then that they would do that. But I think if somebody could be desperate enough to give like a good player and maybe a first-rounder, I think that they might take that. But I don't know. I think that it's just that they're under such pressure right now that they'll just take the quarterback and hope for the best. So anyway, Julie?
I am excited that Russ is going to be in my backyard practicing, basically, and playing, and so hopefully there'll be some cheap tickets along the way, and I will be attending some games.
Okay. But
Okay.
you've got to admit, though, that's kind of suspicious timing on Russ's part that, you're watching him in Seattle and then all of a sudden you're watched him in New York.
I
It's
know.
like that's how. I remember that redhead from Seattle. She chased me all the way.
Okay. Yeah, she somehow managed to get in the area where you have to have like the badge thing because she's a volunteer, but that was all coverage for her to chase me down the hallway. Yeah, that's me.
Okay. Sorry, it just occurred to me this kind of sus.
As another reminder, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell ding. And because you want me to wear Kia Tomlin's NFL line.
That sounds great. Everybody, be sure to follow the podcast, like she said, and follow all the writers, especially it's Miller Crime and Ajax Allen when he's writing his occasional.
Yes, Jay is back writing more.
UFL article because the showboats have been so generous to me, and the stadium food is so excellent in Memphis. So,
girl, oh my God,
Bro, he's
I
safe.
would be up in those. I would be in those little mini fridges way too often. They wouldn't let me come back. All right. Yes, we will see you next week.